How has lean management benefited your organization? Instances when lean management did not work?
I think, Andrea, you could take that because you've got a lot of experience in that. Well, I mean, I can talk, but I mean, I think you've got some fantastic stories you were telling us about that.
Well, here I am, I feel proud when I know like the names and what they stand for, and he's getting Christmas cards from everyone. So, and he's referring to me. Well, thank you. Let me try. Where has it been, like, how has it benefited the organization? The first part of the question. So, first I need to say that we have, or the question first, I guess, is what do we refer to as lean? So as we just learned, there are not only certain concepts behind it, but also lots of different definitions out there. So while we think we do lean in many different areas, it will probably just be like a visualization of process in many of them. However, the first project that we have started off, and I tried to make the story short, although it's a lengthy story, obviously. The first project that we had done was, in Rolls-Royce, was a black bed project where we had a co-located, dedicated flow line. It was a small team of, I think, 15 people, 10, 15 people. And for the first time, they really felt responsible for one process. There was a proper flow. We became predictable, reliable. We could make commitments. We had an understanding of where our issues are. We could address them really quickly. We had a cross-skill collaboration, which was very high because we all sat in the same room. There were so many advantages to it. And one of those flow lines still exists up to today, and it has achieved a better result than any other process that we have. And we have similar processes in different locations. So we have the same process in RD where we practice it, and also in UK. And the difference is that we produce the same document in 90 days. I don't want to talk bad about anyone, but the UK, our flagship, produces it in about between 1 and 5 years. So that's how, how it differs. So generally, I think like when applying it properly, it does have a huge potential. And the problem is, though, that it's very difficult to always apply it. And I think that's also like part of the question, which I want to just briefly touch on. So lean management, obviously, that's also a statement from Ilya, it makes assumptions. So the first assumption is it should be a sequential process. It should be ideally a repetitive process. And I say ideally, Nigel probably thinks like, why is that word in there? So it needs to be. So there are certain environment requirements wherein lean could be applied. Now, our challenge especially is we have a high level of specialization, and we cannot justify dedicated resources on particular process steps, on particular processes. So we keep having shared resources, and that's like our biggest limitation, I would say, that we always pull from different areas. So even if we would, let's say in our process one, limit the work in progress, doesn't mean that they are, the bottleneck is not overloaded still. They would just get work from all the other areas at the same time. So there are more than one limitations, but I want to keep it not keep it short, that's already missed, but not make it too long.
So I'd want to jump in if I may, because there's some of the things you described which is really important. And one recommendation, for people to look at the book Team Topologies, TOPO, Topologies, because Matthew Skelton and Manuel Pace have written a great book there, which gives some suggestions around where we got specialized teams, especially in knowledge work, especially in software development and that type of work, and where you've got embedded electronics and embedded systems where certain things work on a different cadence than they would in the software world. So Team Topology is a good book to look at, because that gives you some strategies around managing specialized teams and how you organize your people in the teams. The other thing is Kanban is brilliant for exactly what Andrea was describing, because it makes the work visible. You start to see where those system constraints are, those bottlenecks, where those specialized skills are in short supply and limiting your flow of value, your flow of work. So it's extremely powerful in doing that. So I would definitely use it for that. The other thing I would mention to you as well is that have a look at the Toyota Prius case study. I did publish it on LinkedIn once, so you can probably find it back in one of my posts, but maybe I'll post it again. But the Toyota Prius case study, there's some books written on it, and I did a visual version of it. That was one of those examples of where they took a 4 to 5 year lead time to develop a new car. And I'm talking about a new car from scratch, not a new version of a car, but a new car that never been built, and delivered it in 15 months. And if you look at the case study, you'll see all the TPSE lean type things in there, but you'll see all, and things like using a big room, an obeyer, and things of this nature, these words that you may have heard. But also a lot of the things they did were very distinctly agile. So it's a really good case study to dig into and have a read about and understand that. And Professor Nanaka, one of the Japanese gentlemen I showed you in a photo earlier, he wrote a whole case study on that. So you can actually do some searching for that and find that out there. And the one other thing I want to say is, because people talk about lean and TPS as, you know, totally different things, and people from the TPS purist world decry lean. So I talk about lean thinking, not because it was on the title of a book, but because I think in a lean way. And the word lean and the concept of lean thinking even predates Toyota. If you go back in the history books, I've just written a brief history of lean thinking for my next book. And I talk about how it goes way back, Frederick Winslow Taylor, even beyond that, and starting to see where some of these thinking things came forward. One of the chat comments, I just want to pull in while I can. Keith Howes made a comment earlier about that building the right product and building the product right sounds like optimizing the order sequence and schedule for production. That's a very lean view, and it's not an incorrect view from a lean point of view, but from an agile point of view, building the right product is building the product your customer wants, not the time in which you build it. So making sure the features, the functions, the capabilities are right, that's the right product. Building the product right is building in the quality. That's the Toyota's principles of Jidoka, just in time, and things of that nature. So I just wanted to clarify that, what I meant by that.